Alright guys, NoPonies103 here, and today I'll be showing you how to install this Android touchscreen head unit into your 7th-gen Accord. So inside of this you get a whole bunch of cables. One of the main reasons why I picked this is because this is the only one I could find that supports both dual and single zone AC controls, and my car has single zone, so it comes with two different types of adapters depending on what you have. Next up you have the user manual. And then down here you have the actual unit itself. So now let's get to the install. First off, you're going to need to remove this top panel here. All I did was take a flathead screwdriver and stick it in here, and I was able to pry it up. But if you have a plastic trim tool instead, I would recommend you use that, because using this you could damage the dash if you're not careful. And just for reference, this is what the unit looked like before. As you could see, mine has the single zone AC, so I'll be showing you how to use that harness. But anyways, you just have to remove this first. Next up, you'll need to remove this trim bezel here. I've done this a few times, so for mine all I have to do is stick my hands in and I could pry it up. But if you've never taken this off before, it'll probably be a lot harder. But you just have to get another trim tool or screwdriver or something, and just be careful when you're prying it. It's just held in with a bunch of clips. So as you can see, just like that, all the clips on mine are still intact, so you might be able to do it like how I did. I just put my hand right here and started to pry it up. Next up, you could take your key, pry this piece up. If yours is automatic, of course, you're going to need to do this. But put it like that, stick your key right in there. Then you could move this all the way back, and the piece that flew off was just this that goes right back. Next up, you have to remove this thing right here with the outlet and the nut and ashtray. That's just held in with two screws, one here and one that is missing for some reason, but all you have to do is take that out. You want to be careful so that the screw doesn't fall down there. Once you get those screws removed, there's actually a third one, so you have to pry up the rubber piece here. Just get that out of the way. You'll have to take a smaller flathead. You can just stick it in the gap down there, and then you should be able to pry this insert out, and it comes right out. Make sure if you have coins, make sure they don't spill everywhere. And as you can see, right down there, way down there, there's another Phillips head screw that you just have to remove. Once all three screws are removed, all you have to do is simply lift it up and then disconnect this connector here for the outlet. Now what's holding the box into place is some more Phillips head screws right here and right here. After the screws are removed, you're going to need to remove this box right here, which I can't do with one hand, but you just have to grab it on the sides and then pull it out. And then to remove the actual radio itself, you'll have these three screws up on the top here, as well as these two right here and here. These are 8mm bolts. They also have Phillips head things inside of them if you don't have an 8mm, but just remove those and you should be able to pull the radio out. Once all those screws are removed from the top and bottom, you just have to remove the radio. Should just be held in with some clips, so I'm just going to grab it from the top. And there's actually a little mounting thing, a piece that goes across the dashboard. I'll show you once I get this removed, but make sure you're grabbing it just by the very lip of the radio and you're not grabbing it by that thing, because if you do, you won't be able to take it out. But just have to... There you go. And then you have to remove all the connectors from the back. Here's what it looks like on the back of the radio. You just have to remove this connector here. Should be a tab somewhere on it. So next up on the back of the radio, you just have to remove this connector and this one here. There's just this tab on the bottom side. You have to press it in and pull it out at the same time. This is the wire for the antenna. That might be kind of hard to pull out, but if you take a pair of needle nose pliers, you can simply pry it up like this. As you can see, there's the wire for the radio antenna. And after that, your stock radio is fully removed. And this is what I was talking about. The bottom part of the radio rests against this, so you need to make sure you're pulling on the radio itself and you're not pulling on this thing, or else you will not be able to remove it. Anyways, let's get started with the new one. So to get ready to install the new radio, I'll be showing you what wires this thing actually comes with. So first you have this thing with 2 USB ports. This is to plug phones, flash drives, whatever you have. You could plug it into the back of the radio. Next up, there's this, which plugs into the blue connector on the Accord. This one is for both of them, regardless of what type of AC you have. One thing that I'll be doing is, it actually has this wire here labeled brake. This is made so that you cannot use the radio unless the handbrake is up. But to get around this, all you have to do is take it and tap it into this black wire, which is thicker than the other ones. All you have to do is either tap it into this wire or splice it in, or connect this to another ground, because that's how it works. It just, as soon as you pull a parking brake, it just uses it as a ground wire. So if you do this, you'll be able to do whatever you want when you're driving, when you're parked, whatever. So I'll be doing that off camera, is just getting a wire stripper, stripping this and soldering it together like that. Next up, you have this decoder box. I believe this is for programming the steering wheel buttons. That just plugs in right here, which I'll show after. Next up, you have this wire for the single zone AC, which is the one that I'll be using for my car. Here you have the dual zone AC cable. It's pretty much the same, except it just has 2 of these green ones. After that, these are all the extra cables that I will not be using, at least not yet. So first of all, you have this one, which is a bunch of things for speakers, I think. This one is for video, like if you have a backup camera. And then you also have another one to play videos on it. If you get like an HDMI adapter, and you could connect it to the back and play like DVDs or something. And then here's an adapter for an external microphone, because you could actually make calls from this radio if you have a SIM card installed in it. But it also has a mic built in, so I don't know if I'll be using this or not. We'll have to see how the quality is of that mic. And then this is, I think it's for Wi-Fi. And then last but not least, you have the GPS cable, or the GPS antenna. This is so you can get GPS anywhere. Alright, so these are the cables I will be using out of all those. It's the USB, this big blue one, the single zone, and then the GPS antenna and the decoder box. So all those other ones, you can set those aside, unless you're going to use them right away, but for me, I'm not going to use them yet, so I'm just going to put them back in the bag. It's time to actually install the new head unit now. As you could see, for the parking brake wire, all I did was splice it and then solder it, and I put some heat shrink with some zip ties, because I had to slice the heat shrink in half, and I didn't have any electrical tape, but you could pretty much just do that whatever way you want. You don't even need to attach it to the harness, you could just attach it to any other ground on the car, but I just did it like this. So first, you want to take your AC cable, whichever one you're using, and then you could just attach it like so. Once you have your AC cable connected, you just have to plug it into this decoder box on this end, because on one side it'll be smaller, so all I have to do is plug it into the end of this. There you go. And then you're going to take your blue connector. You'll notice that this wire will naturally be looped this way, so the side with 3 connectors goes towards the radio, and the side with only 2 goes towards the car. So this plugs into that blue connector, and this white one plugs straight into the other end of that box. So once everything is plugged in, you're left with 3 connectors, the big blue one and the 2 white ones. The 2 white ones are going to go right down here, and then the blue one plugs into this. And everything else here, like the USB and stuff, that's all extra stuff. But you could plug those in if you want. The GPS goes there, and then the radio antenna that was already on the Accord to begin with plugs in right down there. Okay, so the antenna for the radio and the GPS antenna are not yet installed. I only installed the blue and those 2 white connectors because right now this would be a good time to test it out and see if it turns on. So now, I guess here comes the moment of truth. And there you have it. Alright, so here's the back of the radio again. The FM antenna on the Accord goes down here. The GPS antenna goes right up onto this little connector here, and I ran it through here and up into this big empty hole here. I'll actually be mounting this to the bottom side of the vents here because they say you shouldn't mount this to anything metal because it could interfere with it. So I think right here underneath is a good place for it because it gets good signal right through the windshield, I guess, and it's hidden out of sight. Now this is actually where the USB cable goes, right down onto the bottom, and all I did was run it through here and out the glove box. If I ever need to plug anything in, it's nice and convenient. It's also a pretty long cable, so if you want to, you could probably run it all the way down and into here, but all I did was put it out there, so it should be the same. Anyways, all you have to do now is just put this up and put those 3 screws into the top. Alright, so once those 3 screws are in and the clips on the side here are pushed into place, you want to make sure that your wires are out of the way. If you have a box like this one that fully closes like that, now you just have to maneuver this into place. I found that if you slip this right through there, that gap, you can just actually push it in like so. And then you just have to, the trickiest part is to just line it up, but after it's in you should be able to push it down eventually. Alright, so next, once these 2 screws that hold the box in are back into place, you just have to plug in the socket and then you could slip that right back in. Once those screws are in place, all you have to do is slip this back in there as well. Here you go. And then put the shifter bezel back on. And if your car is automatic and you had to take this off, you could just pop that right back into place as well. Now the only thing left to do is to put this back on, but like I said, I'll be sticking the antenna with adhesive, which it already comes with. I'll just be sticking it right to the bottom of that, so it'll be sitting right under there. Alright, so as you can see, the radio is fully installed and working. I'm just showing the boot up sequence so you have an idea of how long it takes to boot up. I put the GPS antenna right here and the Wi-Fi antenna probably that way on the underside of the panel where it's a big empty opening. It is fully working now. It's really smooth. The sound quality is a lot better than stock, although the bass isn't as good. But there is sub outputs. It comes with the other harness to put a subwoofer, which I'll probably do one day. But this thing is really nice. It looks really modern, and you can install any app you want for Android because it comes with the Play Store. This video is getting pretty long, but what I'll do is I'll put this as part 1 for the install, and then pretty soon I'll upload part 2, which will be showing you the features and how to set it up and everything. But anyways, if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more in the future. Thanks guys, and I'll see you soon.